So the first thing you must do when going into the business of agro-logistics is to find out what need is there. What do they want? Are they, because a lot of people go into things, especially logistics, not knowing the requirements of the environment. What do these farmers really want? What are their necessities? What's their pain? So I'll tell you for free that the biggest requirement of an average farmer in Nigeria is not just to ship or move his packages from one place to the other, but to help preserve it. Especially if this farmer is into perishable, the more perishable goods like the potatoes, like the peppers, like he wants preservation. He wants things to be preserved. So storage is key, and the right kind of movement is key. So there are two kinds of shipping or logistics for agro, and that is movement of perishables and movement of things that are not perishable. The imperishables are easier, they're cheaper. You don't need too much force about them. To move cola nuts, to move unripe plantains, to move things like ginger, you don't really need too much effort. You don't need a temperature controlled van. You don't need cold storage systems. You just put them in the truck, nicely package them together. You still need to package well. You need to put them in a good state and move them nicely across to the market. That's for those that are doing non-perishable. But people that are doing perishable, there's a requirement, there are a lot more requirements. So what do you want? What do you want to service? Do you want to service people who are struggling with perishable goods to move them from place to place? Or do you want to provide storage facility for them? Or do you want to provide temperature controlled vehicles to move them to those locations? Which is more expensive? Your cost will go up a lot more. So first thing you must do is find out, where do you belong? What needs are you going to meet in this agricultural sector? You must find out that. You must do your research, know what you have, what are your capabilities, what are your skills, how much money do you have, and then where do you want to focus? Are you also, so what are the needs? What are the, and different needs for different locations, really. There's insecurity more in some parts of the country than in some other parts of the country. So again, you must find out geographically, where do I want to set up? Who do I want to meet? Who do I want to help? What kind of products am I going to move? You must settle all that first before you now start going into, okay, so what are the requirements? Do I have the skill sets? Do I have the vehicles? Do I have the capital to invest? Or do I partner with a bigger the bigger logistics company, maybe like UPS? You can partner with us. We have opportunities where smaller players can partner with us, and we'll help them do the work. They just do the initial groundwork of moving the package or moving the goods to a particular location. We can pick up from there and we can deliver. And if you have an account with us, you pay us at the end of the month and make life easier for you. You make a little deposit though, and so that we can work with you. So we can work with such people until they can find their feet and be strong on their own, and then have their own vehicles, have their own buses, So we are always ready to support, help, partner with anyone. So
thank you very much.
I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you are saying that it is possible that someone can just be an aggregator fresh out of school, just make sure the goods get to UPS or plan something with you, the big player.
A specific location. Just create something whereby we can come and pick up, maybe in a warehouse, maybe in a location you have secured for yourself. We can come and do the pickup there, and we can come and do the delivery. We can do all that in collaboration with you. So you're like an aggregator working with us.
Wow, that sounds like a very, very low barrier. You still tell us some more about
yeah,
that.
But let me be very clear. We work more with We work more with more refined products. For example, we won't carry a bag of gari in our trucks, you know, or a bag of pepper. You need to do some work. You need to refine it, put them in well packaged, grind it, make it grounded, put them in nice packages like they are doing right now. Now, gari is sold in sachet, elubo is sold in sachet, plantain flour sold in sachet. We can work with you, but we won't carry your plantains and put them in our trucks because our logistics are a bit more refined because we cannot manage your products because it might take days on the road, things might spoil. So we'd rather you do some refining yourself, then we can pick up and deliver for you to different locations.
Thank you very much. So you have practically taken care of that perishable and non-perishable that you mentioned during your initial discussion of how to start. Now, Miss Adetokunbo Adewani, what would you say about this on starting for fresh out of school? What steps would you add to what Mr. Boralayo has said?
Okay, let me just turn back my video on. Okay, in addition to what he has said, he talked about understanding the needs of the agricultural products. So the agricultural products are different. So what you would need for fruits will be different from what you would need for vegetables, will be different for what you need for grains, will be different for what you need for tubers, right? You can't just lump everything up in one truck and say we're moving. If I put gari and tomatoes in the same truck, for example, and the tomatoes are wet, and they start they are dripping, for example, that's going to make the gari wet. And at the end of the day, then you ruin the gari for whoever has put in the gari. So you need to understand what products do I really want to play with, right? You have to drill down into what product and what kind of logistics is this product going to need. Okay, so if you are thinking about cold logistics, right? You have to understand, okay, this is going to need cold logistics. If you are thinking about just grains, then you need to understand that that's what's going to happen. Then you have to identify the routes, right? What routes am I going to be taking? What hubs am I going to be taking? You have to map the routes. So if I wanted to go to VI, for example, from Ikeja, there are many ways to get to VI from Ikeja. But then how do I choose the best possible route? Also for my products, right? So if I'm doing perishable products and I decide to take the longer route, it means that I'm on the road for a longer period. So there's a lot of researching. It isn't just so much about jumping in and finding out along the way how things work, right? So I think Rolai also mentioned that some areas are insecure. So do you want to play in those areas that there's a lot of insurgency and all of that? So there has to be like a clear-cut plan on paper. Then what equipment am I going to need? So for someone who is fresh out of school, you might not be able to get the equipment right away. So then comes partnership, partnering with people who are already established, partnering with people who have warehouses already, partnering with UPS. Then the last thing I think would be regulatory requirements, right, for handling and transporting agricultural goods. You might say that nobody is asking you in quotes, but if you are targeting the exporters, for example, or you are targeting processors who need to go through the HACCP process, right? There's some level of compliance that they have to go through to ensure that the products were secure in the process of moving them to your warehouse. So ultimately, it's a game of sitting down, getting all the information you need, and planning effectively and partnering with the right people, and also ensuring compliance.
Thank you very much. You have raised a very salient point here. So I would want to go to Dr. Joe. Now, I am fresh out of school. I have 100,000 naira that I saved from NYSC, and I want to go into any of the value chain of the agro-logistics business, trade business. Now, what is that minimum requirement that I need to meet so that this my 100,000 naira would at least be able to do something? I'll be able to turn it around. Even if the profit is small, I should be able to turn it around and get going in that logistics business, in agribusiness.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I often don't like to hide behind one figure because I know that I'm seen everywhere from all angles. I'm fatter than my finger. What I'm saying so is that 100,000 for a startup, wow, it's an equivalent task. Because from the point of where we are, what we do, even the UPS man will tell you, basically you need to invest in these things. So where we are in Export Promotion Council, we don't take logistics lightly. In fact, it is the main source of, or the string, the livelihood of services exports. And so we have what we call export for beginners when they come in. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't look at services. They just look at all the products they see in any of the markets in Rabat, in Aba, and everywhere. And so when we draw their attention to logistics, to services, they will now say they are interested in it. And to use your 100,000 might not make it, but you can still start small. And how do you start? I've mentioned quite a few things there by other speakers, but I would like to add that you need to be focused. You need to, first and foremost, without sounding academic, draw out your objectives, what you want to achieve within the space of being a logistics person. And then you assess your capacity, your capability. All this have been spoken to in terms of skills, how much you know about your ecosystem. I've heard my sister there make mention of knowing your roots. I think that speaks to optimization of your roots to make a shorter distance and achieve the same end. And that means you must be conversant with a geographical information system about your place. All those are what I think are skills that you need to put up in a strategy of how you want to achieve a successful logistics business outlet. As a beginner, you need to also be deliberate about choosing who the providers of this logistics are, whether you want to go to GIG logistics, you want to go to UPS, you want to go to which other one here. I know we have FOP logistics in Nigeria. I'm talking about our local place here because I like to start from there. And then when you know about them and the aspects to which they are strong with, you can make relationship, make advances as a beginner to learn, to improve your skills. And then I always talk to a groupage. I don't know whether it's the time to bring it on, but I think if you are a beginner, you need to rely on some other persons who've been into this. Or if you cannot, even if the person hasn't been there, you can start it up together, start a cooperative, 1 or 2 persons, so that you reduce the risk of what you might see. I think in a nutshell, skills and knowledge is important. Addition on the aspects of logistics you need to embark on is also important. It's also necessary that you know your ecosystem. And then lastly, you might be forced to employ some experts to lead you on as you start the journey in export logistics. Can 100,000 do that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I saw that Adetokunbo and Morelayo were nodding when they were nodding furiously when you said 100,000 naira is small. So I would ask, like, how much do I need to have to begin a logistics business, even if it is local?
Let me take that again quickly. It might look like a street example. COVID came to us. We were not truly planning for it. And you saw what happens. You see proliferation of small bikes here and there, even though I don't know the cost of those machines this time around. And what are they doing? All manner of names. They are playing the value chain of moving one goods from one place to another. And some of them even have grown to expanding the bike to look like this keke. I'm sure our audience know what keke is like. That they cover the back and are still using it. So if it's when keke used to cost 350,000, or now I understand it's going to $1 million, you can start small that way. And then from one motorbike that is doing Korea, you add another one and you add another one and you are growing. I think it might sound pedestrian, but you are talking about beginners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joe. How do you weigh in, Morelayo?
Sorry, I'm muted. So
Yeah.
thank you, Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe opened it brilliantly for us. And that is that everything in logistics, using 100,000 naira to start, it's going to be a stretch. Because for one thing alone, let me just start from there. To rent a bike, just a bike right now as of today, will cost you about 160,000 naira monthly. You'll be making 160,000 naira monthly contribution. You can rent, you can lease, but just to rent a bike. So you're already losing from the very beginning. And the most important aspect of logistics that I always watch for is quality. Quality. Don't play around with quality. Don't tell someone that you're going to deliver in 3 days and you're not delivering in 2 weeks, and you now start explaining that this is my van broke down. You see, something happened on the road. He doesn't understand that. He paid for a service. So if you're going to do it well. So I think 100,000 naira is a bit of a stretch right now. We must be very clear about that. If you want to go into the logistics business, you can look for angel investors. You can, as Dr. Joe said, you can even partner with some of your people, NYC. Maybe 5 of you come together and increase that money to $1 million naira. Just ensure that you start well, and you're not cutting corners. You're not breaking down. You're not disappointing people. You're delivering, because you're in logistics or in a service industry like logistics. It's your operational performance that is the marketing. I don't care how many marketing people you have. I don't care how many sales people you hire. If what you are delivering is not performing at the highest level, that is, your marketing is gone, your brand is finished. Nobody's going to come again. People don't give, in the logistics world right now, number of people that will give you a second chance are very few, because nobody wants to waste their money. And now, because it's a scarce resource, everybody's looking for how to make money and use money well. So you can't go about delivering at a very poor standard. You just have to deliver at the best. Even in UPS, we hit ourselves very hard. I work with the operations person, I'm a marketing person, and I remind them every day that my work is dependent on the performance you put up. So everybody is putting in their optimum to ensure that they preserve customers and bring in more customers via recommendation. So the limit I will recommend that you start with is between 800 to 1 million naira. That way, you can ensure you have the right kind of products. You can ensure you have the right kind of packaging. Imagine transporting garri in a nylon bag. Before you get from Abuja to Lagos, when you get to Lagos, everything has just burst into the truck. You need the right kind of packaging material for garri. You need the right kind of packaging material for anything you're doing. You need the right kind of boxes. You need the right kind of cushion. Because you are moving in a very rough terrain. The roads in Nigeria are currently horrendous, let me say, to say the least. Now, a lot of bumps, a lot of ditches. I mean, you will need things to protect your packages and make sure that when you get to destination, they are still what was asked for, not something else that has been delivered. So 100,000 naira would not work. Again, there's another aspect in business which people don't even consider, and that is awareness campaign. They don't even consider that. Everybody looks for the warehouse, the office space, the staff, the truck. There's also money for awareness, and they don't come very cheap. Even the social media marketing skills that you will require on Facebook, on YouTube, on Google, using Google Ads, they're going to cost you some money. You need to create awareness. You need to draw the customer to you. You need to let the customer know that you exist. So I don't want to discourage anybody, but I'm too practical. I'm too realistic in life about everything I do. You will not do anything tangible with 100,000 naira. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing that up. And you have actually provided solution to that, actually, by saying that coming together, you and Dr. Joe, coming together probably in a cooperative, in different kinds of arrangements to make sure the capital is bigger, at least 800 to 1 million naira. Now, I'll let Adetokunbo weigh in on this. Before, okay, let me add to it that what if I have decided to now say, okay, what I want to do, because you mentioned also packaging is very important, cushioning. So what if I just say, okay, I am into logistics, but for now, I don't have money for bike, I don't have money for cold storage. What I have is I just want to package and then maybe support with marketing. Will that work, Adetokunbo?
Okay, so like everyone has said, the 100,000 naira is quite a stretch. I would have said that you should use that 100,000 to learn the business of logistics. Maybe you should go to a school of logistics. I'm not even sure it's going to be enough, to do that, right? But then, if the person is saying, I don't want to rent a bike, I don't want to get on the road yet. All I want to be involved in is packaging. In recent time, the cost of packaging has also gone up. So except you are starting really small, and maybe you are even saying that you are looking at niche packaging. So for example, if I was packaging beans, for example, and instead of putting them in those normal polypropylene sacks, I'm saying I want to go the way of hermetic sacks, right? So that by the time it gets to destination, there are no weevils in it, right? I need a stock of those bags, right? And then when you are looking at what the costing of those bags is, I think that what the solution that Rola mentioned about coming together might actually make sense, because like he said, logistics is a referral business. I always tell people that in export, some people come to meet me, they'll say, tell your clients to open accounts at our bank. I'm like, you don't know what they have to say about your bank. We have heard about your bank. You did this, that, and that, and that. And it's the same thing with logistics. So I recommended one of my logistics guy to my friend, and he messed up our transaction. And the guy still calls me frequently to recommend me to other people. I'm never going to do it again because he messed up someone's transaction. So logistics is about delivering quality service. So if getting enough capital to deliver that service sustainably, because we can't then in the middle of the month, we have started delivering the service. Maybe we got 100 hermetic bags and that was enough to cover. And in the course of the month, we ran out. So we now say, we've run out of packaging materials. So, but sorry, people are wondering, this guy, he just started. How come he has run out already? You understand? So it's absolutely important, right, to do it right, to do it well, to do it in a way that people who have used your service once will be able to say that, go to that guy. The guy is very thorough. Go to that guy. The guy knows what he's doing. Go to that guy. But then you need to deliver. So that quality delivery is what we are saying will cost now. It's not so much about the scale to which you want to do it. Because once you start delivering quality, then your scale starts going up. And then you don't want to have to lower your quality because you are stuck in the middle of transaction, because your working capital has been exhausted in the midst of the transaction.
So you are saying show must go on, no matter what happens. Show must go on. Okay, now you have mentioned, everyone has mentioned that quality must be delivered. The goods must be there on time. I've had experience of some people delivering on bikes, and by the time they got there, it was a food delivery. Rice and beans have mixed for people who wanted to buy amala. But now, they would blame that on infrastructure, on road and everything. Now, how do we go? Now, I have brought people together. We have raised the capital. We have got the branding material and everything. And now, truly, this is not lie. Infrastructure, my car broke down. How does agriculture, an entrepreneur, how does he negotiate these bends, these twists and turns in the road? Who wants to go first?
Okay, so I'll go first again. If I'm allowed, if Mr. Joe will let me go first.
You are doing already, sir.
And Ms. Tokumbo. Okay, so this is like an area where I have developed gray hair. I have more gray hair now than normal. Because when you have poor infrastructure, poor road network, poor connecting roads. In fact, there's a publication that came out yesterday that almost gave me another scare, or gave me another scare, really. And that was that Cameroon is about to release water again for its maintenance. I don't know if you can hear me, Timmy. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about.
I can hear you. You're talking about
so Cameroon is about to release some water from the dam again, concerning for its maintenance, repair maintenance in Cameroon, and it's going to increase. And they've already told us the hydrological agency of Nigeria has warned already that there's going to be flooding. There's going to be flooding all over the River Niger, River Benue, like it normally happens. It will affect like 11 states. Guess what? It will make those places impassable. It will be so difficult. I mean, the road is already bad, well washed. Trailers are falling on the roads. All kinds of things are happening. And now you're now telling me they're going to flood the streets again, the road again with so much water. Already in Maduguri, where I have some clients from my office, I have some clients in Maduguri, about 15% of that city is submerged in water. I can't reach some locations anymore because of the horrible storms that happened sometime last week. So there's a lot of infrastructural decay going on in the country, making life very difficult for logistics. However, the good news is that we've been here for, UPS as a company, we've been here for like 40 years. We know how to navigate some things. We can actually find, okay, if this route is not working, we try another route. Like how Tokumbo said, we find the nearest routes that we can optimize and use now. There's even some locations in the north where we use boat transportation because there's no use using road. There's no road. It's all water. So we move with water boats already. So it's because there's a flood. So we use a boat in the flood and try to make the most of every circumstance. So if you want to survive in the logistics space, I can say it categorically, you need a big brother. You need a big brother that can help you navigate through these things. And because you cannot do it on your own, the cost is huge. Already I have my driver telling me that some of the guys I work with, because I have some suppliers that I work with, telling me that the fuel price is no longer 750. In fact, it's now 1,000. So the cost has gone off the roof. So they've been trying to increase my cost. So you will actually need to work with people in this system. You will need it because some people have better experience, knowing how to maneuver locations, going into insurgency areas. In the East, you can't even move around on Mondays. There's this sit at home every Monday. So there's a way you have to navigate all these things, work with your customers, know where to go to, know where to position. Sometimes you have to move things to nearby locations, stay there from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then we're moving on Tuesday. You know, a lot of things you have to work with. And I don't think a starter has the capacity to go through all the things I've just mentioned. I mean, a trailer just fell down on Benin or a road 2 days ago. My drivers were there for 48 hours. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage that? But we can manage it. But a starter will not be able to manage all those kind of things that are happening right now. So my recommendation is that look for a big brother. Come to me. I'll help you out. Thank you.
Quite revealing. Look for a big brother. And Dr. Joe, what do you say?
I have listened to my brother so very well. He has spoken well. I think the issues we're having, we should still thank our stars. We're not going to go into the politics of how the dam Cameroon is releasing or is not releasing, because that's another kettle of fish. I would say that we've known all along that we need to prepare some buffer, do our dams, and see how we wedge whatever water will be coming, will be released there because it must be released. However, having said that, we have to be resilient to withstand and get over all these disruptions. And you've spoken about infrastructure particularly, but I think it's more than that. I would also use the word resilient infrastructure. We can think about building the warehouses that have climate resistance, and then go green in source of power. I mean, what we do about having backups, and then even developing our workforces, the training on how we can manage some of these infrastructures. So what he's spoken about, the big brother, to me, is that partnerships and collaborations must be reached in terms of research institutes, or what government does, and even what associations and networking will do, because the infrastructures must work. Can we also see how we avoid physical infrastructures, that we can speak to digital marketplaces, how we go more on online connectivity, maybe platforms for farmers and buyers, processors to link up, and then even importers, exporters, so that things could be automated. This way, we can somehow tackle what happens to infrastructure. We know that part of why we are always talking about infrastructure, poor infrastructure, has to do with the cost of things, the economy itself, and the power that we talk about, or the fear, cost of fear. He has made mention of so many things that inhibit logistics chains efficiency. And so I would like to go into that so much. But infrastructure has always been a big problem to logistics. That's why you have places, if we draw examples, if you look at why logistics in London goes well and better because of including network connectivity, including their financial outlay. When you hear of the use of the Heathrow Airport as a hub for Europe, or even the, what do you call it, certain other ports around there that speaks to logistics because they can do it. And I think that is the way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I'm coming to Adetokunbo, but I want to add a little bit to that question because I believe you have navigated that way, you know, as a player in that industry who may not be as big as UPS, but you have navigated it. You have benefited from the big brother, your mentorship, so to speak. So how can an aspiring entrepreneur in the agro-logistics go about finding the right mentor? And I would like if you answer this using real life experience.
Okay, for someone who's starting off, how do you find people to partner with, and you know how is that absolutely important? You know, so I played in the commodity in my career, and that was where I worked with for a very long time. And you know the way logistics work for commodities was then go through the local parks. So when Johnny Man, there's Chatter Man, there are a lot of all those funny names that they have in all of those places, right? But it's interesting to note that in some particular areas, if you are going to move products, you can't move them directly. You have to go. That's another role that some of these people can play. To be a go-between, you are the one who is just going between and arranging. So there is that man who knows the owner of the truck, because the owner of the truck is not going to deal with you directly, right? So that man, then the owner of the truck. So he has agreed with the owner of the truck. He has agreed with you. He gets paid a fee for negotiating with the owner of the truck. You know, so that's one of the ways that people can start. You know, you can also join associations, right? So for this one, you might even need to go to the motor park, right? One of the things I have noticed, and I've always said, is that most of the people, apart from the big names like UPS and all of that, most of the people who play in logistics are not very, right? So it's a lot of the informal sector playing. I know that for most of this conversation, we are focused on transportation, but like there's also warehousing, right? And let me just talk a bit about warehousing. So if, for example, I was a first-time person going into agriculture, and I know what the requirements are to warehouse yams, for example, and I can get a store at farm gates so that all the farmers could aggregate at farm gates for the yams, right? And then whatever means of transportation would then pick off. You know, I have effectively solved a problem for them at the farm gate, and I have moved those products for them to destination. Okay, so let me just give an example of the moving commodities, like I said. Most times, what typically happens is, okay,
It looks like
you've got
your
the
network is
journeyman, you have got the chatterman, everybody is getting
your network is not letting us
and
enjoy that.
it is time to
very
move
well.
the products to destination. If you had a driver, then you have to pay for fuel and all of that coming together to move the products to this.
I knew the network was going to be like that, but please, please do not forget the thought you were making. Please, when you join back, I have heard Chatterman, Journeyman, and all. I will go to Morolayo to add to this. You know, how can we go about finding that mentorship, and what are some of the practical experiences that you've seen in the industry of a small agropreneur who entered into the logistics business, found Big Brother mentorship, and is now doing well? And I would also like you to touch on scalability as you answer that.
Okay, thank you very much, Timmy. Mentorship. So I want to use an illustration. It's actually practical. So I have this friend called Kule, and I won't mention Kule's name company because he became very popular. In 4 years, it became a household name in Lagos. So I won't mention this name. But his name is just Kule.
Safe space. Don't worry. It's a safe space.
So I met him. He came to my office. He came to my office in 2020. And he met me, a very nice, cordial young man. And he came with packages worth about, he went to move packages worth about, 100,000 naira. That's 100,000 naira that you mentioned. He came with like 100,000 naira worth of package. He was an aggregator and he was doing food, because in 2020, just before the COVID pandemic commenced. So all through the COVID, he was still moving because believe it or not, there's a huge demand for Nigerian food abroad. Huge. I mean, so much because there's so much movement. The Japa syndrome is creating a community of Nigerians all over the world, in Canada, in US, in London. Restaurants are being opened everywhere. Everybody's eating Nigerian jollof rice right now and egusi. It's becoming a global trend. Everybody's appreciating Nigerian food. So he got a lot of demand for food movements, for egusi, for what you call melon seed. And so he was always shipping them. He's not a farmer, he's just an aggregator that was just getting these things, packaging them and sending them. So there was a lot of issues, and I became his account manager. I'm not his account manager really, but because of my friendship with him, he'll call me at night, he'll call me anytime, please, what's going on with this package? And I'll try and answer. So it was very tough in the COVID period. But he continued. He was the word that Dr. Joe used, resilient, absolutely resilient. And he knew that he had a friend in me. And I'll call on my operations people and we'll walk all through the night and try and see how we can move his package, even in those tough times. So after COVID, he continued. We gave him some good pricing because he was now beginning to grow. As he was growing, he was qualifying for better discounts. Because the more your discount, the more your volume, the more your discounts. So you're doing well. All right, so I was increasing his discounts. And this young man was working through the night. He was using social media marketing. He was using all kinds of digital marketing structure to advertise himself. He was going from house to house, letting people know that, look, I can even move your own personal goods, food. If you have any family abroad, I can move. So he was not only working with farms, he was now working with people. And now it came to a point where he was paying me for his movement over 140 million naira every month. That's how big he became. He was paying me for moving his packages well over 140 million. He became one of the biggest mentees I had. But so everybody needs a mentor. And you find them, he came directly to me in my office and met me. But you can find them in other places. Forums like this, you can find seminars organized by the Exports Promotion Council. Dr. Joe's, their team is always organizing seminars and workshops. They even have organizations, groups. I know about a few of them that sometimes I've come to talk to them once or twice. And people don't just be somewhere logistics is talk. Anywhere there's logistics, be there. Don't be shy to meet anybody. Walk up to anyone. We don't bite. And I mean, this guy just walked up to me and I was so happy to have someone like him. Now I call him Baba Olowo. I met him when he was in 100K. He's now doing 200 million. I mean, he has grown in 4 years. Dedicated, committed, sleepless nights, but he has grown something very big. And he has employed so many people. He has opened outlets all over Ibadan, the Southwest, Osun State, everywhere. He's everywhere now. He's scaled. So you talked about scalability. You only scale when you start pulling in the revenues, when you start making the profits. People will want to now invest into you. People will like find, oh my God, this guy is good. Let me invest into this guy. So he's gotten investors who have added to what he has, and he's growing, he's setting up, he's even left me. He's no longer under me. He now has his own string of buses, his string of bikes. He has now become my rival. So my MD jokingly said, you've created a monster. I mean, you've created a competition. You did this because you babysat this guy. You brought him up. You gave him all the knowledge. I mean, he knew everything about the network, what to ship, what not to ship, what is available in the export in this country. This country does not take egusi. This one he knows it at the back of his hands. We educated him, trained him on how to package, best way to package, using vacuum sealing equipments, for his fishing, for his fish, using this, using that. And he grew so well and so fast, all because he took a bold step of meeting the players themselves, meeting them one-on-one. He just came and introduced himself to me. And by the time he met me, he met the head of sales, met the MD, met everybody. So don't be shy. Walk up to people, bring out your business card, introduce yourself, go to networking events, meet people in various industries, meet Tokumbo. I'm sure she will accept you, meet Dr. Joe, meet everybody. And then work with whatever benefits they give you. Look out for opportunities. This young man looked out for more discounts. So he knew that if only I up my game a bit, they will give me extra discounts. And I kept telling him, if you get to this target, I will give you more discounts. If you can meet this target, I will give you. And as he was doing it, we were also loyal to him, and he kept growing that way. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Morolayo, for that practical example. So from what you have said, I see that if knowledge is power, then mentoring is how to wield that power. Now that, do you still have addition to that, Adetokunbo? You kind of went away the other time when you were talking about the journeyman and the charterman, and I would like some light on that as to how this can, how entrepreneurs can go into this role and then make something for themselves and then scale onto the size of people like Kunle.
Okay, thank you so much. Apologies, my network went off for a while there. But can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Network is strong.
Okay. Okay, lovely. I was listening to what Rola was saying about networking and logistics, right? And I mentioned earlier that some part of logistics is largely informal, or the people who play in the sector are informal. When we have export classes, for example, I say to people, just go to NAPO export terminal, visit the place. If you're in Lagos, go there. Just go and look at how products are moving. And one of the things I have noticed about the shed is it's not, well, the last time I went there, it wasn't very organized, right? And so there are some things that if you wanted to go into the business, just by observing, there are some things that you would see by observation that you will do better just by visiting some of those places and seeing how things are currently done. There are some things that you will do better just by observation, right? For transportation, you could also go to parks, right, and see how things are running. Sometimes there isn't a need to create a new thing. The need is to do things better, right? Because if the only option I have now is the way it's currently done, I would stick to that option until I find someone who does it better. And immediately I find someone who does it better, it's bye-bye to all of the people that I used to know who weren't doing it very well. So sometimes it is just a visit to the market, a visit to the airports, to the terminals, the shipment terminals. Sometimes it's a visit to the motor park to see how the goods are being packaged, right? Sometimes it's a visit to UPS to go and see Rola and to ask him some questions. The interaction with the people who are establishing a business is absolutely important because it helps you with all of those blind spots. One of the things that happens when you talk to someone who is established in a business is some of those things that you had in your imagination that will not work. Immediately, the person just shoots it down and says that this one is not going to work. This thing that you said, you're going to pass this road. If you pass this road, you are going to spend extra 2 days on the road. If you pass this other one, you are going to spend, you understand? So sometimes it is just that interaction, like he has mentioned, with people that will open up your eyes to see even things that you were not originally looking for. It's absolutely important.
Thank you very, very much. So to the audience, interact. Go to the parks, go to UPS, go to the port, go to NACO, and just learn by observing. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I find it quite insightful. So I would now go to Dr. Joe, and I want to ask, what are the top 3 do's and don'ts when starting an agro-logistics or trade business in agro sector? You are the custodian of information there. So, and I have just come, please, just 3 do's and don'ts. I have I have done several things, and now I just want to know how to navigate these landmines. What would you say?
Thank you, Temi. You are just lucky you're not seeing my face. You would have seen me frowning that, yes, that you were going to overlook me commenting on how to find mentorship. So I can use a minute or two on
I am
that.
sorry, you can add that. Okay, let's layer it upon on your question.
Yes, because from what Morolayo said, this Babalo that he has mentioned could be an exporter that we groomed. And we don't do it alone. Nigerian Export Promotion Council, we stand as a fulcrum. We bring together, he has spoken at our forum severally, and we've also partnered with FOB Logistics. We've even done things with other logistics managers. God is good, and all of that, because we are a platform of advocacy. And then we build this capacity. We work with clusters, with aggregators, with those with special zones. We have what we try to create common facility centers. That is why when you talk of all that agrologistics is about, it's mostly agri-commodities, which I can mention here for free that as we speak, as you know, I know Tukumbo has also done few jobs with us, speaking the fact that 57% of what we send out, what we do, are agri-commodities. In fact, semi-manufactured takes just 23%. So it is a source of worry for us that people are not mentored appropriately. And we have what we call export mentoring program, where in the course of looking for mentors for those that we are taking, we attach them to established exporters, the Olams of this world, the Starblings, the Outspan, and all of them for 3 months, where they go there and take lessons. And probably most of them, by so doing, will see those guys as their mentors. They've mentioned quite a few things about where you can get it. I think sometimes you can voluntarily move out to look for who your mentor is. You don't need to meet him in person, face to face. You just say, I want to grow my business as a starter in logistics. You get there. I think I will leave that there and go to what you asked me about the do's. From everything is important, because you keep talking about the 7 P's of logistics as you have in the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. The right products, the right place, the right quality, customer, transport, and even the condition of the goods. You talk about all that. But since we are asking for 3, I would say compliance to regulations. If your product has to do with food and drugs, NAFDAC is there. If you must get a single goods declaration certificate, customs is there. If you need vegetable to be certified, you have NAQS, plant quarantine, or Federal Prison Inspection Service must be there. And sometimes you need to have a stamp of NIS. I mean, what the man cap, son will do. So variously, even the PIS have a role to play. There's what we call clean certificate of inspection, which is mandatory. When you are talking about these goods living, you must get that certification. So compliance is one. And I think too, you must abide to keeping inventory. Inventory on the products, inventory, even there's what we call the quality management system on what obtains the processes and the ins and outs of the materials and all that. And then communication within and without, within your space of the workers and within the ecosystem of logistics players, the stakeholders. I think you need to stay in touch. I think those are the 3 do's. I've said there are quite a number of them, but since you asked for 3, I would like to stop here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I wanted to do liver twist and ask for more, but I'm looking at the time too. So I am sure that when we get to the Q&A session, there are still going to be questions around those do's and don'ts. So does Adetokunbo have anything about the do's and don'ts? Do you have some different from Dr. Joe's, the ones Dr. Joe's has stated?
Okay, I think there's a need to understand the market. What does the market need, right? I think it was Roland that mentioned earlier when he was talking about that guy, that the guy knew what each destination required. So what a lot of people think happens is that there's a one size fits all for all destinations. It doesn't work that way. Some countries will accept some products, and when you send it to some other countries, they won't accept the same product. So imagine if I was a logistics company and someone sent some products to a particular country through me, and then we found out at the point of entry into that country that that product was a contraband. One of the things that you should have been able to provide to that client was the fact that this product is not going to go, right? And the more you are able to provide that service to your own clients, the more the client trusts you, the more the client wants to ask for what you think. So it's important to understand the different markets that you are playing in or that you want to play in, and their regulatory requirements. Compliance in Nigeria is not on a very high side. But when you are interacting with international markets, compliance is absolutely necessary. And ignorance of regulatory requirements or compliance requirements is not even an excuse. It's not something that discuss, right? So it's absolutely important that you continue to research the market, because the market is also changing. A friend and I were discussing about EUDR, that's the Euro Deforestation Regulation that is going to start in December. And a lot of cocoa exporters, palm oil, I think coffee or something, some people are still waiting. Some people don't even know yet, right? And then at 30th December, they're going to be rejecting their cocoa, and they are going to be finding out then, right? So it's absolutely important to stay on top of the regulatory requirements and what the market is asking for. We've spoken to building networks, strong relationships, and then we've also spoken to investment in technology, social media, technology, data management. How do you process your data? I think those are some of the things that we need to do.
Thank you very much. I come to Rolaya with the same question.
All right, thanks, Timmy. And I think Dr. Joe and Tokunbo have said, well, they mentioned adherence to regulatory requirements, very key. And Tokunbo mentioned finding out what the need is, which is, you start from there. What is the need of the market? You cannot avoid knowing what the market needs. What does the market want? Does the market want 3-day delivery in America at an exorbitant price? Or does the market want it in 1 week at a lower price? You see, there's, I found out sometime earlier in this year that I was working so hard trying to ensure that all my packages get to America, get to London within 3-4 days. And meanwhile, people are not interested in that. They're interested in 1 week at a lower price. So one guy who was doing a lower price and getting there in 1 week, was making more money than me. So the market changed when the cost of living in Nigeria went up. So you must know the need, and needs change per time. They change with now that the fuel price has gone up now. I don't know what they are requiring now. Maybe they want 2 weeks. They don't mind 2 weeks, but make sure the price is low. So everybody has their own. So the system, the country you are living in, you must understand your customer. You must know your customer, know him. And then I want to add also that customer experience. You must do everything to give your customer the best experience. You must be reachable. I was one day, I bought something sometime, and I went to report that the thing they bought for me was not right. I could never see their contacts online. I'm like, what kind of system is this? We can't even report, we can't even give you feedback. What kind of a company is this? I was so pissed off, and I vowed right there I'll never go there again. You need to be reachable. You need to be communicatable. Sorry. People must be able to express their feelings and tell you what is going wrong, because I found out that people that give me feedback are my best friends. There's a young lady who's always giving me feedback. My God, I love her. She tells me anytime there's a problem, so I know when to tweak, where to improve, where to go. You need to have a feedback channel coming back to you. Don't be unreachable to your customers. And since you're starting, they should be able to reach you anytime. You're a starter, so you should be able to walk into the night. Make sure that, because you're still building confidence, you're still building integrity, you're still building. That's what my friend Kunle always says, that even at 10 o'clock, I was still responding to his calls in the evening. And because in COVID, all my customers had gone. Nobody could ship anything. So this was one of my customers that was still shipping. I had to give him 24/7 attention. And he was doing so much in that COVID. I don't know how he was managing it. And he was moving all over the world to different locations. And it was my responsibility to ensure that this guy doesn't stop. So customer experience you cannot do without it. You cannot. Yes, and your customer experience, as I said before, is the quality of your service. Every other thing is secondary. Once the quality of your service is good, everybody will be happy with you. So look out for the quality of your service. Look out for your customer experience. Learn customer experience. Learn how to empathize with customers. Learn how to be nice. Learn not to be rude. Learn to be pleasant always. Learn to be enthusiastic. Let there be a brightness in your voice. Let there be a brightness in your eyes. Let people be happy to see you. Don't go frowning your face to a customer. Because the customer is paying through his nose for your service. You had better make him feel well. Because in marketing, there's a new phrase. It says, paying to pay for something is pain. Right now, paying is pain. Reduce the pain of that person paying. He's already going through a lot, pain. Find a way of reducing that pain by providing a soft landing. Always. Don't say, you didn't ask me. That's why I didn't tell you. No, tell him or her everything she needs to know or he needs to know to make sure that package gets to destination. Don't say you didn't tell me or that one. No, you go the extra mile and let them educate your customers. You go and learn, like how Tokumbo advised that you spend the money to go to a school of logistics and learn about logistics. Dr. Joe is there. Dr. Joe is always teaching. Go and register with them, Export Commission. Go and learn a bit more. And then educate your customers on what to do, how to do it, how best it should be done. Because every day, I just got a memo while on this call, actually. There's a new regulation. There's a memo that has just been sent to me now, stating that there's a new cost for missing packages. I have to go through that. I don't understand that. If your package is missed, you will pay some. I don't understand that. I'll have to sit down and understand it better. And then educate my customers. It's important. So, because your customers depend on you for the success of their package. So you need them for your business survival. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. This session has been quite revealing, quite insightful. And I'm so happy to be with Dr. Joe Adetokunbo and Morolayo. Now, before we go away, let us quickly look at the questions that our audience are asking. Our 131 audience, they have questions here, and one of it is that I'll take them all, and then we can now just talk about it because we are far spent on time. So, what are some of the regulations? This is from Adetola Babs. What are some of the regulations, licenses, permits, and that new entrants need to have to run a local or foreign agro-logistic business? Are there bottlenecks to navigate to secure these licenses and permits? This is anonymous attendee. Does UPS have a training school for logistics and distribution for exporters? And another anonymous attendee is saying, on a point that Dr. Joe made, I want to ask, how can the logistics help in connecting processor to especially the local farmers? For example, my mother who farms cassava wishes to sell the raw unprocessed cassava. So how can the logistics unit assist her? Then how can we be part of the mentorship Dr. Joe is talking about? And what is the stand on the export of yam from Okuma Zara Farms? Okay. So yes, those are the live questions that we have. In case you miss anyone, I'll remind you, but please go first. I heard that Dr. Joe's name was mentioned a lot there, so maybe he should go first. What are some of the regulation, licenses, permits that new entrants need to have to run a local or foreign agro-logistic business? And what are the bottlenecks to navigate to secure these permits?
Oh, thank you very much, Temi. The first shot that you mentioned about joining as a logistical company, practically, later on, I'm sure Moralayo will add something to that. But if you are going to do a business, if you are going to be a business entity that would go into, let me say, service exports, or okay, logistics, you have to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. You have to also, you should be able to realize too that everything you need to do must be in conformity with the CAMA of Nigeria. And then you register with Nigerian Export Promotion Council. And if you intend to look at the exporting aspect of it, because you need exporter certificates. Since we are talking of logistics, you should register. I understand newly now they talk about with Shippers Council, Nigerian Shippers Council too. So those are the things, but it is important that you understand where to get the regulations, the type of regulations you need for the type of business that you need to do. I've talked about that when I mentioned what do you expect from customs, what do you expect from pre-shipment inspection agencies, from NAFDAC, from NAQS, from NPIS. So I can also move to take the question about how can the mother who is a processor connect to people farmers? Yes, I don't know where he is or where the person who's bringing the question is, but we have offices in the 36 states of the Federation. We call them state coordinating offices. In fact, the major ones are in the six regions, South, South, Southeast, Southwest. You can get these addresses on our website, www.nepc.gov.ng. There we'll be able to bring from our data, a data bank of who we have links with in logistics. UPS has mentioned our relationship here. We also have a GIG. We work also with Free Onboard Logistics. There is a Cargo Niger, and we can mention this to you and probably give you a referral, and so that you can get talking. If you are a processor, we always talk about value addition. What value have you added to the product that you have? We talk about fair trade, fair market, not just about who you involved in carrying out the processing, the planting, the harvesting, the supplies, but fair pricing. We advise on that. So there's a lot that we need to do, not just that you are a processor. We go out to give you talks on packaging and labeling, even packing. I can move on, and then export procedures and documentation. You need to know all this. And then I can also venture to talk about the export of yarn before I go into joining the mentorship. I think those are the areas that spoke to me directly. Export of yarn, just like maize, these days, you hear a lot of stories around it. Most of them are caused by those who are playing in the value chain, right from the farmers, the aggregators, the producers, those who are in logistics of it, and also the infrastructure that we don't really have. It's a whole lot of things to say about export of yarn. I also hear stories that, yes, our yarns are good, whether they're from Benue or they're from Nsukka or from Nasarawa, but they don't get to their destinations. Why? It's still part of what we are discussing now about logistics, about infrastructure. And then when they find their way into neighboring countries, they just go. So yam is exportable, but it is also one of the products that comes in and out because government can do what we call non-tariff barriers. You can talk about like maize, they say, oh, stop exporting maize. Like charcoal, sometimes they say you don't go into that because they're looking at the laws, deforestation. And I heard my sister there make mention of what the EU is throwing up about climate, about the environment. There are more. There's even the one you call EU 2022-741 that speaks specifically to use of pesticide residues. You need to know all this. It applies to the yam. What is the size of the yam that you want to send? What is the packaging that you're applying? Have you learned enough to know what the rule in the country you are sending it to says? And so much about yam. Export mentorship program. This export mentorship program that he's talking about is mainly for SMEs, and he can join. We have it frequently. It will take you like 2 to 3 weeks of intense training that we carry you through export process documentation, pricing and costing, labeling and packaging. We talk about Incoterms. We also go into even the risk in export, legal aspects of exports. What do you need to qualify? To qualify to take here. It's your interest because it comes free, though not so regular because it's fund intensive, financially tasking. When the time comes, I've mentioned the website, our website. You can also look it up. And if you're lucky from where you are, when we say free of charge, it depends on where we get it done. If it's in Lagos, you take care of your accommodation and maybe there could be Stephen there to carry you through. And if it is in Kano, you also should be able to link up there. By the time you are through with the 3 weeks experience, we take you on a journey to see customs long room, practically to see what UPS is doing. And even we also have what could be termed as a masterclass, the one I said that we attach you to mentors to big players to learn there. But these things, we just graduate them, and we cannot take. I can mention figures that we've achieved so far on the mentorship.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joe. I
Yes.
really appreciate this. It's been very revealing. Thank you for taking those answers. One of the comments, one of the things I would just like you to restate is that website. People are asking for it. And then we will continue this conversation on social media, on the PSAG Cluster 5 social media handle is PSAG on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, and we can continue this conversation. Thank you very, very, very much, everyone.
Let me drop the website again.
Yes,
www.nepc.gov, that's government.ng for Nigeria. But there's a fast track. NEPC, N for
NEPC, okay.
PC,
N
P,
for
P
Nigeria,
for Paul.
P
Yes.
for egg, P for Paul, C for charcoal.
Yes, C for council, for yes, charcoal. But there's a fast track. We have what we call NEPC Connects. NEPC Connect hashtag takes all the inquiries right now. Is a recent platform that, because of our mantra for double the export, NEPC 35 redefined, where we have 20 products, selected products. Most of these agro products are there, targeting 10 producers, 10 companies in 5 locations, 5 countries. That's the mantra now, double operation, double your export. So if you go to NEPC Connect CONNECT, that you get most of the inquiries that you're talking about answered.
Thank you very much. In 30 seconds or less, what closing thing would you want to say, Morolayo, for someone who is fresh out of this education?
All right, so we've said it all. There's no need to go through the whole thing, but it's tough. It's doing business, actually, any business in Nigeria is very tough right now. So you need to be resilient, you need to be patient, you need to be committed. Don't give up, continue to go, because there's a lot of obstacles, a lot of issues you're going to face, but give your best and be compliant. That's a very important aspect that Dr. Joe and Tokunbo talked about. Make sure that you don't cut corners, because you cannot cut corners abroad. If you once your package goes abroad, leaves the shores of this country, there's nobody you're going to talk to. They can destroy your package, they can send it back. There's no one that's, I beg, let me call this person. There's nobody you can call. In that system, yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you very much, Morolayo. Ade Tokunbo, in 30 seconds or less, what would you
I hear a lot of people telling me that, do you have anybody can talk to customs? Where? Forget it. So just be compliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ade Tokunbo.
Okay, so
moderator, can you allow me to run? Sorry, Tokunbo, for intercepting.
No wahala at all.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Joe. We really appreciate you speaking to us all the way from Geneva. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I was going to say this, that there's a lot of information that we've passed across to you today. What I want you to do with that information is to build on it. Don't shut down. So some people have heard about the challenges. They've heard about the fact that you need to be resilient, and they are thinking, oh, maybe this logistics business is not for me. No, the other business that you're thinking about also has its own unique challenges, right? Every business does. So take action, and the action might just be getting educated. The action might just be getting certified. The action might just be reaching out to a logistics company on LinkedIn. The action might just be going to a park or going to narco shed, or just observing the way things are done. But don't shut down. Don't think that logistics is not for me. No, take action and keep moving in the direction of that your goal. And I want us to be back in 4 years' time, and they are also saying that you have a Abalo because you have also become a brand in the logistics space. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I'm sure we are going to have a lot of babalos in the next 4 years. Thank you very much, Moralayo. Thank you, Ade Tokumbo. Thank you, Dr. Joe. It's been a very, very revealing one. We really, really appreciate. And with that, we are coming to the end of this session, the business of agrologistics and trade, bridging the gap, efficient logistics for trade and success. This has been brought to you by the Private Sector Advisory Group and the BAT Nigeria Foundation, supported by Business Day Foundation. And the next session will be by 11 o'clock. So with that, I'm signing out. My name is Temiloluwa Bambushe. Have a nice time till 11 a.m. when we come back.
Bye-bye all. Take care.